In the name of Allah, most compassionate, most merciful, dear students, dear viewers, here again I am with another video. Today I'm going to talk about how to write a master dissertation. For this, I'm going to focus mainly on the general introduction of the dissertation of the students. But before that, I would like to point to the idea that this presentation concerns mainly people who are specialized in literature or civilization mainly. Nevertheless, maybe it might be useful for other specialities. So, I'm going to talk in this presentation about what is the aim of a dissertation, what is the aim of the general introduction, because a dissertation starts with a general introduction. I'm going to talk about it later on. Then, what are the main elements of the general introduction? Background of the research, statement of the problem, research questions, hypothesis, literature review, the aim of the study, significance of the study, research methodology followed in this dissertation, and finally you end it with the structure of the research. Also, I'm going to clarify what to write in the abstract, what to write in the general conclusion, and important remarks ending with the reading index card. So, I have chosen this topic because I have seen in our department, most, not all, of course, but most of the students feel I cannot say lost, but confused how to start writing a dissertation. For this, I have to clarify some points. First, you have to know why you are writing a dissertation. First, you are, with your dissertation, you are contributing to knowledge. How? In your dissertation, you are going to solve or to highlight a problem or a question or a phenomenon, or you are going to develop new techniques, for example, in literary analysis or whatever, or you are developing new ideas and insights, or just you deepen and extend existing knowledge, like proving, for example, a hypothesis or a theory. Now, what is the aim of the general introduction? Before I read, you have to know that the general introduction is like an entry to your dissertation, if I do not say it is a summary about the direction of your dissertation. Here in the I just by reading the general introduction, I will get an idea about what is the problem you are raising, how you are going to solve it or discuss it, what are your findings, and what is your research methodology. So just it is this is why it is very important to be careful in writing the general introduction and understanding the elements, the component elements of it. So we mostly write the general introduction after the table of contents, okay? It draws the attention of the reader in setting the stage of your research with a clear focus, purpose, and direction. It explains the what, it means what are you doing in this dissertation, why it means you are answering the motives, for example, in order to fill a gap in knowledge, or to highlight a problem, or to prove a theory, and how here it is the methodology you are following in your research. So briefly, if we go to the what, so it means here what is the specific focus, the topic or question under examination. It means what are you going to discuss in your dissertation, what are the principal arguments or hypotheses being tested. Then, what are the limits of the project? Why? I would like through this dissertation to explain the reasons why my project takes the shape it does. I answer why it is original, or if it is only it fills a gap in existing research, or poses a novel question, or it solves a problem or defends a theory or a view. So this is the aim of my dissertation. It goes with the motives behind writing this dissertation and choosing this topic. Then the how is here. It refers to the methodology and the theoretical approach I'm following in this dissertation. So the main elements of the general introduction. We start with the background of the study. So here it is like the general pool in which I put the topic of my dissertation. So here I'm going to delimit the field that I am going to study. Here it establishes the context, the territory of the research. It presents the main aspects of the study. I'm going to talk about the general topics of my research, the topic of my dissertation. I only focus on the main relevant ideas of the studies that have led to the topic. I always move from general to specific ideas. I will clarify it with example later on. So the background of the study is going to set the territory, the context to my study. So what I am going to talk about. For example, if we take literature, am I going to talk about the postmodern era or modern era? Am I going to talk about British literature or American literature? Am I going to talk about poetry or novels or poetry or drama? So I'm going to set the background of my study on which I set my research. For this, my background of the study, it should not be too long, and of course it should not be too short. You should write only what you understand. Don't be ambiguous. It means you have to be clear in your ideas. Okay? Since you understand what you are writing, so this automatically you are not going to be ambiguous and be organized. Here you have to move from the most important ideas to the least important ideas. Move logically. I have depicted, or I have given to you here, two examples on how what to write in the background of the study. First, if the subject is literature. The title of the topic of the dissertation, let's take this one. Visions of America in American Postmodern Poetry, the case of Allen Ginsberg's Whole. So Allen Ginsberg is a poet, right? American poet in postmodern era. So when I read this topic, I have to underline first what are the key words in this title, because these keywords I'm going through them to write in the background of the study. So what are the keywords in here? The keywords in this title of this dissertation is I'm going to talk about postmodernism in American literature and its features. In general, we are going to talk about themes in American postmodern literature in general. What are the new themes that I find in postmodern literature? And then I move from literature in general, I move to talk about specifically poetry, still in the same period of time, American postmodern poetry. Now I move specifying the background of the study, and then I move the theme of America is strongly present in poetry. This is what you have noticed, okay? The theme, because theme here, it refers to the word visions here of America. Here the word, it means how is America represented in postmodern American poetry. So these ideas are, I'm going to elaborate these ideas in my background of the study. You see, I am talking in general. Um, okay, I have set the background, the context of my research, right? Then I go to the from. You have seen that I go from the general to the specific. If we take another topic in civilization and see what to write in the background of the study, if the topic is civilization, investigating the United States-Japan relationship after the Second World War. Yeah. So what I am going to talk, I said that we always start with general ideas related to my topic, moving to the specific, the target topic of my dissertation. So, for example, here I'm just giving an example, right? You are going to talk about, in general, the context of the Second World War, the countries which contributed in it, how was the participation of United States and Japan, and how was their relationship at that time. So here as a bitter enemies. Then there was devastating casualties on both sides, of course. And then we move after the Second World War. We see that there is a change in the relationship between United States and Japan. So here I have put the context of my dissertation related to my topic. After writing the background of the study, then the background of the study, my problem starts to show off. It becomes clear. So what is the problem? After all, because writing the background of the study requires me to read a lot before I start writing my background of the study. And while reading, the gap is going to show up for me. Here starts the statement of the problem to rise up. Okay? It is important. So here the statement of the problem is the gap that you have noticed in your literature review or in the previous materials you have read in preparing the background of the study. Either it's a question of a gap or a question of a point you would like to highlight or you would like to prove something. So it depends on the gap or what you have noticed in your background of the study that needs attention, that needs treatment, and needs, of course, solutions or suggestions for solutions. So this in the statement of the problem, I start to go to the core of my dissertation. Here I address an existing gap in knowledge in the field and leads to further research. 2. I address the question, what is the problem the research will address? So I'm going to talk specifically in the statement of the problem. What is the gap that I am going to fill? And this way I'm going to add to knowledge, of course. So there is some knowledge in a particular area of knowledge, or some information, in a particular area of knowledge that I have previously read and which has enabled me to write the background of the study, but still there is a point, there is a gap, there is an idea, or there is a theory, or a question or a problem that needs to be highlighted and put into focus. So where is the problem here? So what did you notice out of the background of your study? So here I am starting now, here I am specifying the problem that my dissertation is going to treat, to elaborate, to discuss, or to prove. This is what we call the statement of the problem. Where is the problem? What is the problem that you would like to solve? What is the theory that you would like to prove? Where is the gap in knowledge that you have noticed and you would like to discuss and highlight? After writing, okay, of course, the statement, so here there is the aims of the statement of the problem. So what is the aim? First, it transforms a generalized problem into targeted, well-defined problem, one that can be solved through focused research. Right? So here I am targeting my problem through the statement of the problem. It is the what. What is the problem you are going to resolve? In this way, it clearly helps to identify the purpose of the research project. Of course, when you identify the question or the gap you are going to fill, so here you are determining the purpose of your dissertation. 3. It doesn't need to be elaborate and long, right? Yes, this is 1 page or less is more than enough. Here, for I remind you that I am talking about master level. Master level. So let's talk now example. So referring to the first topic in literature, what is the problem that I have noticed through this topic or through the different resources I have gone through? This is my problem that I would like to elaborate and deepen or highlight. First, in relation to my topic of literature, in relation to the previous topic of Visions of America, if you remember this one, Visions of America in American Postmodern Poetry, the case of Allen Ginsberg's home. So remember the background of the study. Now we go to the aims, of the statement of the problem. Let's now, where is the problem now in reference to the topic of literature? I have noticed that the poets in American postmodern literature differ in their representation of America. So they do not portray America in the same way. Then I have noticed, this is the second point that I have that one can notice, which is just an illustration, that Allen Ginsberg, because this is the case study that I am going to discuss and analyze, representation of America shows to be complex and gloomy. So I have to see why he is different from the other poets, what makes him distinguishable, and it from his other poets, from the other poets. Now, if we take now the dissertation in civilization, what is the problem that I am going to elaborate in my dissertation? It is, we say, I'm going to talk, for example, after the Second World War, United States and Japan relationship changed from being enemies to strong allies. This is the problem, okay, that I would like to focus. It means the good or the peaceful relationship between United States and Japan after the war. Of course, I'm going to see why, the reasons and its manifestations and its impact on both, for example, sides and on the world scene in general. After designing, finding the gap, the problem that I would like to discuss, to solve, to highlight, then I can, on this stage, I can formulate my research questions. The research questions, they are the questions that are to be solved throughout the dissertation. They are a result of the statement of the problem. When I define well the statement of the problem, then the questions will be also clearly stated and clearly targeted to the problem that needs to be highlighted. So the research questions, it is, or they are important, of course, they are the center of the research, or the dissertation part had for answering these questions. Chapter 1, 2 and 3 all work together to answer these questions of the research topics. So thus they control the path of the research, right? The questions are going to show me the path that I am going to follow. They identify and delineate the research problem. They are specific inquiries which the study seeks to provide responses, answers. So as far as our topic in literature, we can suggest the following research questions. For example, how is America represented in postmodern poetry? What are the visions of America conveyed in Allen's poem? How does he convey them? See, they are the heart of my dissertation. These questions have to be answered throughout my dissertation, throughout the different chapters of the dissertation. If we take the topic of civilization, here you can ask the following questions that are to be, of course, that are of course to be answered throughout the dissertation. How was the relation between United States and Japan before the Second World War? Why did the relation between US and Japan change from bitter enemies to strong allies? How did their relationship change? What are the aspects of this alliance? My questions are very clearly defined. So here, how should my questions, so we can say that they should be clear, easily understand the purpose, as I have shown. They are focused to the point, targeted to the point, narrow enough, concise, expressed in the fewest words. It means you avoid long sentences, long statements. Complex. This is very important. It means they are not answerable with a simple yes or no, but they need research to be answered. Arguable. It means its potential answers are also open to debate rather than accepted facts. After stating my research questions, of course, and I have to set, of course, my hypothesis. The hypotheses simply are the prediction that the scientist or researcher expects to achieve. So they express my my expectations out of this research. So it is mostly proven or disapproved, yeah, through the study. Okay, so especially in literature and civilization dissertations, in master dissertations, the hypotheses are most of the time proved, say. So the hypothesis proposes a relationship between two or more types of variables. Okay, I know you have dealt with this in research methodology, so I'm not going to treat it and take a long time. Just a reminder, an independent variable is something the researcher changes or controls. The second part of my hypothesis, it's called a dependent variable, which is something the researcher observes and measures. So, sorry. Now, how I can state my hypothesis? My hypothesis comes from a comprehensive literature review. When I read very well, uh, thoroughly about the topic I am researching, right? It helps me find the gap. And when I find the gap, I can formulate my question. And then easily comes the writing of the hypothesis. So the comprehensive literature review helps in identifying a gap in one's field of research. It helps me also to formulate the question or problem, since I have identified the gap or the problem or the issue I'm going to discuss or highlight. Then it becomes easy for me to formulate my questions that should be clear, that should be focused, that should be concise, that should be debatable, arguable, etc. Then you write your answer or explanation to the question raised. This becomes a hypothesis. The format of the hypothesis, of course, they take many forms, okay? So it depends on your variables, it depends on the topic you are discussing, whether in literature or in civilization. So here the student is free to choose which format to follow according to his topic, and of course and according to the methodology he is following. So the first format is the structure if when format. Here it aims to explore the correlation between two variables in a study. The when x then y format is to expose a connection between two variables, or a direct statement directly states the predicted relationship between variables. And here there are other types of hypotheses that I have not dealt with, because I think they mostly concern scientific researches, okay, the field of science, like the null hypothesis. Most of the time it is not found in our researches, whether in civilization or in literature, so this is why I did not write it here. So the hypothesis, of course, it should be testable, it allows observation and testing, it should be brief and objective, of course, it should be relevant, of course, to the topic, it addresses the significant knowledge gap relevant to the field of study. Yes, and of course it should be clear. My hypothesis must be clear, means they reflect clear idea of what we know and what we expect to find out about an issue. Now we come to literature review. Now, what do you mean by literature review? Literature review is the previous studies, all the studies, all the researches that you have read about the topic of your dissertation. It is important to read before you start writing your dissertation, to read. The more you read, the more the gaps or questions rise, or issues rise. It depends. The more you read is very important. So what are the benefits of the literature review? And of course the literature review is going help. It is very important before I read it. It helps me as a researcher to situate my research, my dissertation or research, in relation to the previous studies. Am I adding? I am just highlighting a question. Am I proving a previous theory? So it depends. Right, the literature review. So the student will be familiarized with the topic of this research. So when you write a literature review, you are familiarized. You can, even the reader who reads your dissertation is going to be familiarized with your dissertation. To get an idea of the other researchers working on the topic. Yes, of course. How do previous researchers work on this topic before I treat it now. And 3, it helps me, of course, find gaps in existing researches in order to propose new projects. Now, how I proceed in the literature review? Of course, you are going to collect. To select, it means yes, you collect material as much as you can, as possible, but at the same time, when you finish collection, you after reading them, you are going to select which is important to your topic, which is secondary to your topic, and which is not at all important. So here you are in the phase of selecting. You summarize, you synthesize, and of course you analyze existing research on the topic. I it is important. It means not only you summarize and synthesize, okay, but try to analyze. And here starts we start to see your how to say it, your place, your thought. We can read your thought in this process, your reflections about the previous studies, how far they are reaching their objectives. Then you connect the different points of views and offer an intelligent review. Right, yes. Okay? You must follow, of course, a chronological order. It means when you present the different works, you always start from the oldest works to the newest ones. Okay? It means a book is written in 1954 and another book, another review book, research, published in 2008. So of course we start with 1954, and then I moved on to talk about the book published in 2008. Here I am following a chronological order, respecting the time of publication of my material. So how is literature review is structured? Literature review also must follow a structure. It has got an introduction, it has got a body and development. Body, I develop the ideas, and it has got also a conclusion. So in the introduction, we know it is just a short paragraph or an introductory paragraph that explains what you are working on. Yeah, you explain what you are doing, what you are exposing in this element, and at the same time you are going to forecast key topics or text that will appear in the review. That means that will appear in the body. Okay. Then I go to the body. In the body, of course, I'm going to summarize and synthesize all the previous researches I have gone through. So here I will give an overview of the main points. I always focus on the main points of each source and combine them into a coherent whole. This means I have got many sources who discuss about similar or different points. So I try to combine them together in a coherent whole. I make a kind of connection between these points or between these sources. For example, their points of divergence or their points of convergence. So it depends on what the direction of the research is going. Then I analyze and interpret. So I not only summarize, I give what's there in the research field, previous research field, but I try state my reflections, my thought. So don't just paraphrase other researchers, add your own interpretations where of course possible, discussing the significance of the findings in relation to the literature as a whole. And finally, critically evaluate. You mention the strengths and weaknesses of your sources. Of course, the literature review should be written in well-structured paragraphs. Use transition words and topic sentences to draw connections comparisons or contrasts, and of course make it coherent and cohesive. Finally, the conclusion: just summarize the key findings you have taken from the literature and emphasize their significance. 2. Connect it back to your primary research questions. It means try to connect now this literature review and these findings, okay, and their significance to your research question. It means because, as I said, the literature review is important to define my research problem and, of course, as a result, defining my research questions. The literature review, as I said earlier, it should be chronological. It traces the development of the topic over time and organize thematically. You have to organize thematically. It means don't talk about the ideas of the resources you have looked at. It means should be organized. Organize your ideas. Now we go to the sixth element of the general introduction, what we call the aim of the study. It is simply tied to the research questions. It's a kind of answering the research questions. What you would like to do. You would like to, for example, in relation to the topic of literature about American vision, it is to discuss how America is represented in postmodern poetry, how Allen Ginsberg portrays America in his poems, in his poem Whole, for example. The next element is significance of the study. So, aim of the study is specific to my research, to my questions that I would like to answer through this dissertation. Significance of the study, here I go broader. So here I am going to state the importance of my research in the field of knowledge and how it adds to the body of knowledge and academic field. Here I am going to define to what extent is my dissertation important in relation to the field of knowledge. Now going to the idea of research methodology. I know that you have studied in your module research methodology. Most of the time we use quantitative research, qualitative research, and descriptive research, right? So I'm not going to take a long time. It's I think it is clear. Quantitative research. So the features, it is structured and statistical. Its results are objective and conclusive. It relies on statistical data collection and analysis. This is done through surveys, questionnaires, graphs, interviews. And it supports, tests, or rejects a theory. The aim of quantitative research, yes, either to support, to prove, or to test a theory, or even to reject a theory. The qualitative research methodology is non-numerical and non-statistical. It means contrary to the quantitative research methodology. Non-numerical, non-statistical. It is based on the collection of non-numerical data, analyzing and interpreting it to gain insights. We collect information that seeks to describe or discuss a topic. Its methods can be through interviews, documents, either books, magazines, journals, case study research, focus group, etc. It also, as it can use multiple qualitative methods in one study. It depends on the requirement of the research, of course. Last one is the descriptive research methodology. Here it describes the characteristics of the subject of the research. It can use qualitative and quantitative methods, Among its methods is service observational studies and case studies. Next element is what we call the structure of the research. Here you are going to present your research. It means the different parts of the your research and what you are going to discuss, the main points of each chapter in your research. So I present or you present how your research will be organized into chapters. You are going to rewrite the content of each chapter in a prose form in paragraphs, and these paragraphs of course should be separate paragraphs. Each paragraph, for example, you start discussing in the first paragraph and title it like this, such particular title, and then you are going to state the main points you will discuss in this chapter, and you go like this with the first chapter, second chapter, third chapter. It depends on the number of your chapters. Of course, you have to present each paragraph in a separate indented paragraph. So we have finished now about with the elements of the general introduction, and as you have seen, it is the entry and the mirror and the direction of my research. This is why it should be comprehensive. Okay? Now, writing the abstract. It is advisable, of course, to write your abstract after you finish your dissertation, after you have defined your research questions, after you have come up with some results. In this way, and after defining a particular research methodology. So all this, it is better. It should be. This is what makes it better written after finishing the dissertation. So it presents the major elements of the work in a highly condensed form. Of course, in one paper, no more than one page, or half a page is going to be fair enough. It mirrors the structure and the content of the research. It means just I read this short abstract, you see, I get an idea about the content of the research problems, the methodology, the findings. It is written once you finish drafting the dissertation, yes, and written in one non-indented block form. Which means it should not be indented, the abstract. Now, what are the elements that I should deal with, mention in a condensed form? Condensed form means should be very concise. I have to mention my topic. What is my topic of my dissertation? I go directly to what is the problem, what is the statement of what is the problem I would like to I have found through this literature review. What is the aim of my study? What are the research questions? I'm going to talk about the hypothesis, the methodology that I'm going to follow, my results, and expected further researches if possible. The general conclusion. It comes, of course, at the end of the dissertation. We know that, of course, it gives a clear insight of your work. You have to restate. What does it mean to state? It means you rewrite with in different words. Okay, your topic. You rewrite the statement of the problem, the research questions, the aims, and the methodology of your research. So these are the ideas or the points that should be present in your general conclusion. Then, what else? You have to incorporate the best and most important insights of your theoretical part. Means do not talk about all details, but the important insights. Okay? Write the main findings of your practical part. Explain how your work could be advanced or point to new directions in future research. So now, no summaries of the chapters. Here we do not have to write about summaries of the chapters, and try to be not personal. It means try not to use the I or the we. Use the passive. if possible. Now, important remarks regarding uh, writing in general, a dissertation. Every chapter starts with an introduction and a conclusion. Do not write long sentences. This is to avoid falling into mistakes. Always define a term when you first introduce it. It means when you come up with a new, when you come through a new uh, term, it is better to make it clear. Introduce it, define it. Then, when the quotation does not exceed 3 lines, if you quote from a text, so here what do? We insert it into the body of the text, enclosed quotation marks. With enclosed quotation marks, this is what we call in-text citation. However, if the quote is longer, so it is set off as a block quotation without the need to write the quotation marks. I think you know this. By the end of each chapter, ask yourself if you have answered your questions. This is very important to be relevant and to be to the target of your research. I have got a good, how to say it, helpful guide in throughout your research, how to organize your research, how you collect your material, how you organize your literature review, the I would say your readings about the topic. Here I have taken it from Alberto Eco. Yeah, he has suggested these advices which I consider very helpful, and they make you research in an organized way, not at random, but if you follow this, you feel that you are organized and everything in its place. First, prepare cards of half A4 size cards that should be numbered consecutively. You have to number these cards because on these cards you are going to write your notes, your quotations, all information that you pick from the books you have read or reviews. And then it contains a summary of the various points in a book or article. Yes. So in these cards you are going to write summary of a book or a summary of an article. Sometimes quote and other times paraphrase. You know this. Record precisely by bibliographical information to cite it properly in the final bibliography. So in each card, when you quote or paraphrase from a book or an article, it should be followed by clear bibliography because you are going to write it later on in the final bibliography, references or whatever. Write a short summary of the book or article. This is repeated, okay? Use quotation marks and note precisely the page number because when you quote, please pay attention to the page number and write it. Do not confuse a paraphrase with a quote. You know what do we mean by quote? I think you have studied it, and you know what do we mean by paraphrase. Record your personal thoughts. Put them in square brackets. Yes, it happens when you read a book or an article. You will come up also, or you will generate you yourself. You will generate your personal reflection and thought. Write it in square brackets. Square brackets make it your sign about your thought. So whenever you return back to these cards and you see ideas written enclosed between brackets, between square brackets, you will remember that these are your thoughts and reflections about what you have been reading. Then mark the card with the appropriate abbreviation or color so that each color or abbreviation corresponds to the correct section of your work. Here, to make your work to organized, for example, if you have got 3 chapters, so prepare cards with 3 colors and connect each or correspond each color to a color card to a particular chapter. For example, color yellow to card chapter 1, card red to chapter 2, card green to chapter 3. So whenever I read information from the resources, uh, information that corresponds, that relates to chapter 1, so I'm going to take card blue, sorry, yellow. Yeah, I take directly card yellow, and I mark down my notes, my quotations, and my abbreviations. So that's all about how to write a master dissertation, my students. I hope I have clarified a bit on how you write a dissertation. Kindly, if you have any other questions, do not hesitate to write it in the comments. Of course, I will be glad if you subscribe and like and share my video in order to be alert about other videos that I upload from time to time. For the moment, I thank you very much for your attention and see you in another video.